Hey, what's up, y'all? Stephen A. Smith. He decided to throw some subliminals at Shannon Sharpe. So check this clip out. Then I'm going to come back with my commentary.
Stephen A., what do you think about how Shannon Sharpe interviewed Katt Williams and Monique? What do you think about the pushback or lack thereof? Why give somebody the platform to come out on your show and say all the things that they've said? I'd be lying if I said those were not legitimate questions. I'd also be remiss in neglecting to inform you that I personally asked Shannon Sharpe to come on this podcast and discuss it. To his credit, although he's not here, he was willing to come on. He just had other commitments because he knows I'm his brother and I'm not trying to backdoor him. And I'm going to say something that a lot of people are not going to like. I don't believe that Shannon Sharpe is just an entertainer. I believe he's a voice. He's a voice in our community that is elevating by the day. He matters. And because he matters, with that level of significance and cachet comes a level of responsibility, some would say. But when you do it to the point where you're trying to act as if he shouldn't have them as guests, or somehow, some way he could have curtailed or edited out what they've said, I'm not going to go that far. Shannon Sharpe is under no obligation to edit or alter genuine thoughts that his guests have on his shows. If that's how they feel, that's how they feel. Now, would I have been a little bit different? Sure, because I'm a trained journalist. And as a result, the level of pushback that I would give, I'm seasoned and trained to do it, spanning 30 years. When Shannon Sharpe was on Club Shay or Nightcap, rather, weeks ago, and he said to Chad Ochocinco during one of his telecasts, I'm not Ed Bradley, the late Ed Bradley, God rest his soul. I'm not 60 Minutes. I'm not 48 Hours. I'm an entertainer. My only retort to him was that you're not just an entertainer, you're a voice. And take that voice into consideration whenever you do whatever it is that you do, so you're never telling somebody that you're just an entertainer, because you're more than that. Outside of that, I have a very, very, very difficult time looking at the day and age that we're living in, seeing 68 million views here, 5 million views there, over 73 million views for just 2 interviews, and asking somebody to ignore the significance of that, knowing most people wouldn't, because that's being foolish. That's not being authentic. Most people wouldn't ignore that. Now, again, I would have pushed back on Katt Williams on several things, because the personal in which he went about the business of highlighting his attacks and illuminating his attacks against Kevin Hart, against Steve Harvey, against Ricky Smiley, Cedric the Entertainer, Michael Blackson, and others, or I would have wanted receipts. I would have had to dig a little more. That's just me. That's just me. Steve Harvey's a friend. Kevin Hart's a friend. If they came on this show right now and they were talking about Katt Williams in the fashion that Katt Williams talked about them, I would have grilled them. Because when you sit in front of this microphone, in front of this camera, my belief is that in pursuit of truth, you have to be objective. Now, you can be subjective once you receive the truth about how you receive it, how you interpret it, how your perspective is, and what you disseminate to the masses. That's fair. But in pursuit of the truth, the objectivity has to come reigning through. There are people who feel like Shannon Sharpe didn't do that. I respectfully disagree. I think he just did it differently than most. When Steve Harvey came on his show, they said what they wanted to say. When Cedric the Entertainer came on his show, they said what they wanted to say. When Katt Williams came on the show, he said what he wanted to say. When Monique came on the show, she said what she wanted to say. We don't know what level of veracity and truth is attached to any of their words or lack thereof, and we have to be real and authentic in that regard. But when somebody wants me to get at Shannon Sharpe, it's not happening. I'm going to support my brother. Even if I think he's wrong, I'm still going to say it, but I'm going to support him anyway, meaning letting him know I'm always going to look out. But in this particular instance, I think the ire is being pointed in the wrong direction. So many people want to sit up there and talk about, people were famous for doing this to me, coming to me and having expectations they wanted to heap on my shoulders. Why? Because guess what? Now you in this position, Stephen A. But what the hell did you do to get me here? When I was scratching and clawing and climbing my way to this position, where were you then? You didn't do anything for me then, but when I got there, all of a sudden I owe you and us something because I'm in a place you ain't. Nah, I'm not going for that. So in that regard, I'm not going to engage in condemnation, but I did feel a need and an obligation to comment because so much stuff is being said about this man that works with me 2 days a week on ESPN's First Take. And I had to let everybody know where I stood about the man that I brought in to sit across from me 2 days a week. And that's where I stand with that. I'm not saying I agree with everything. I'm certainly not saying I would have done things the way that he's done it. I'm not saying that somebody would come on my platform and have 3 hours to say anything. I don't talk for 3 hours, so I damn sure ain't let nobody else talk for 3 hours. So we're different in that regard. But I ain't throwing no shade on Shannon because of it. I would do things a little bit differently. But props to him for doing what he's doing in terms of getting the interview. We can parse and compartmentalize and dissect everything else, but he got the interviews that people clearly wanted to see. And he may believe, let him speak, it's a conversation, and let the public judge. Me as a professional journalist throughout my career, I might think a bit differently. As it pertains to KATT Williams, God bless you. I hope that you continue to be the great comedian that you are. I hope that you were telling the truth. And I hope that somewhere along the way, there's some level of compassion, because even if there were things done wrong or there were things done against you or things that you didn't like, I think it's safe to say, KATT Williams, that I don't know if anybody out there wanted to or had the intent to hurt you as much as you seem hell-bent on hurting and humiliating them. And that's something for you to think about, because I got mad love and respect for KATT Williams. He's a hell of a talent, and I wish him nothing but the best. Monique, she's brilliant. She's an Oscar winner. She's sensational. What she did in Precious, her phenomenal acting career, her comedic genius. Monique, I don't know if anybody said this to you, but I'm going to say this to you, and I'm going to say it to you out of love. You always say sisters or brothers when you're talking to black people. Well, this is a brother talking to you, Monique. You look very bitter. You look like the light has been stripped from you. I don't know what happened. I'm not going to call you a liar or anything like that. I don't know. I never asked Steve Harvey or Kevin Hart or anybody or Tyler Perry or Oprah Winfrey and all of this other stuff. I never asked. I don't know. But I know you're telling stories about Oprah. I'm not saying false stories. I don't know. But you're telling one thing about Oprah. You're telling another thing about Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry leaves you a voice message reportedly, and you're airing the message. Well, how can somebody feel comfortable enough ever talking to you if they think that their messages are going to be disseminated to the masses when it was supposed to be a private conversation? You talked about Kevin Hart and how you were supposed, he said, I love you, sister. We'll talk in 2 weeks. And then after that, you never heard from him again. Okay. Did you play any role in that? I'm just asking. Did you? I don't know. But when you bring these kind of things up and you talk about Oprah, I'm quite sure Oprah ain't perfect. I'm quite sure there are an abundance of people, black, white, and beyond, that have had issues with things that Oprah has done that have negatively affected them. But we all know how much positive Oprah generated for so many of us, because she showed us the way in so many ways about how to excel in this industry and in life. Does it have to be that bad, even after all this time? It's just a question, something that I want you to think about. Shannon Sharpe had Monique and KATT Williams. I'm not looking for those interviews to interrupt his shine. He get his shine, I'll get mine. But that's my dude. And if he comes across as doing something wrong or doing something that people feel that I should be compelled to comment on, that's why I chose to comment. That's my position. I hope y'all can understand and respect it. And if you don't, you don't. But you know where to find me. That's just how I feel about it. And by the way, I don't mean bitter in a literal sense when it comes to Monique. I'm just talking about the look of it all, that fire that's still in your belly. I'm looking at you and I see a brilliant talent that has her whole life ahead of her that can still do great things. And to me, Monique is looking like somebody who feels like she's finished and there are people to blame for it. I don't think you're finished. I think you're great. I think you'll be back. I think you'll do great things, and I can't wait to see you do them. Hell, I'm trying to produce stuff. I'd love to have Monique in it, because that's how brilliant of an actress you are, of a talent you are. So I just wanted to say that.
Hey, what's up, y'all? So first of all, I want to thank y'all so much for tapping in with me. And I just showed you a clip, and it was Stephen A. Smith, and he was throwing subliminals at Shannon Sharpe. And he said that Shannon Sharpe, he has a different interview style than him. So when Shannon Sharpe, when he interviews people, he doesn't push back. For example, KATT Williams, when he was on his platform, he didn't push back on any questions. He just let KATT Williams say what he had to say. And that is the reason why KATT Williams' interview has so many views right now. It has around 70 million views at the moment. And Stephen A. Smith is saying, if I had KATT Williams on my show, I would have pushed back. I would have said, why do you say like this? I would have fact-checked KATT Williams. He's throwing subliminals because he's saying that Shannon Sharpe is new to this game. But the thing is, Shannon Sharpe is not new to this game. He's been doing interviews and he's been on a big show on Fox Sports for a lot of years and on ESPN as well. And I think that Shannon Sharpe, he will definitely respond to Stephen A. Smith, and I guess that we're gonna have a new beef. So let me know what y'all think about this. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and watch next videos. I got for y'all.